Hello, Holberton students. My name is Russ, and I'm a second-year student in the WebStack specialization. Google Cloud Platform, or GCP, has a wide variety of tools to help you start serving content that range from greater control to ease of use. With Compute Engine, for example, you can control exactly how many VMs you want to spin up, how much memory they should have, what operating system they should use, and so on. But with Cloud Functions, for example, you don't even build an app at all. You just create a series of endpoints that clients and users would interact with, and the logic that would be performed on each of them. There's no app.py, no WSGI. I'll be covering App Engine in this video because it's the highest level service that still gives you the opportunity to show off things you've learned from the first year without having to get bogged down in server setup. So what is App Engine? App Engine is a platform as a service. So basically what that means is you're not given access to a VM or a collection of VMs, but a platform. Basically you interact with App Engine through something called the Cloud Shell, which is an in-browser console. You can also use something called Gcloud to interact remotely, but we're going to keep it simple and just use Cloud Shell. So here, all you do is build your app, the back end, the front end, and when you have a working version, you run a command to deploy it. Google handles setting up the VMs, the web servers, the WSGI, all that stuff. You don't have to do any of it. You don't have to tell it what resources to allocate, how many VMs to create. You just deploy it and Google automatically allocates as much or as little as needed in the background, depending on your traffic. Instead of paying for the number of VMs and the amount of memory you allocate, you pay for what you use. And there's a pretty high threshold on this. You don't actually pay until you've received a ton of traffic in an hour or a ton of traffic in a day, that the kind of traffic that you're just not going to receive for this project. So it's basically free. The first thing you want to do is head over to console.cloud.google.com. And your page may be a little bit different because you'll probably have to agree to terms of service and things like that. But eventually you'll get here and you'll want to, first thing you want to do is create a new project. So you head up here, hit new project, make the name, all of that. And then you're going to go to the hamburger menu and scroll down to App Engine and Dashboard. All right, and then you'll see this icon up here. This is the Cloud Shell. So this is going to open an in-browser terminal for you. And it may take a couple minutes, especially the first time. Now, the fastest way to get started is actually to follow this Quickstart guide on the right. And so you select the language that you want. In this case, I'll use Python. Get started, choose the project. And what this is going to have you do is clone a template repository that has the 5 main files that you need to get started with App Engine. And these are main test, requirements.txt, requirements test, and app.yaml. So requirements.txt is where you'll list the versions of what modules you'll need to be installed for your app to run correctly. And app.yaml gives you a lot of control over what your server environment is going to look like. So again, this is a platform as a service, not an infrastructure, right? This is not a VM that you're working in. You're using app.yaml specifically to tell Google what your servers should look like. You're not setting up your servers, you're giving it an end result, and Google on its own is figuring out how to, what to install, how to configure it, all of that stuff. So app.yaml is super important. But for the time being, we actually don't have to change anything. They've given you this template, app.yaml setup, main is set up to return a very simple, just like hello world string. So for now, we'll continue through this tutorial, and you can see they'll have you set up a virtual environment just to isolate your Python dependencies, and they'll soon after instruct you to do a test run of the app. So you can do a test run, check it out. With this icon here is the web preview. So this is just a preview, it's not deployed yet. To deploy, we're going to continue through and run this command, Gcloud Create. You only have to run Gcloud Create once. This is just to tell App Engine that this directory that contains a main and an app.yaml file is an App Engine app, right? So now we get to run Gcloud app deploy, and then whatever the name of your project is as it appears in the terminal, hyphens and everything. This can take a few minutes, especially if you've changed a lot of files, but basically it's uploading your changes and distributing them in the background to all the various VMs, installing all the dependencies, setting up servers, setting up web server, all of that stuff in the background. And then once this is done, you can view your app online, deployed out there on the internet with this link, this appspot.com link, and bam, you're live, you're deployed. Real quick pro tip, if you update your style sheets and then redeploy, GCP won't always recognize the update, and it'll continue to serve the old styles. So if you want to force it to see the changes, you can change the names of your CSS files and make sure you change the references to them as well in the HTML, and then it will know for sure that these have been updated. The last thing you might want to do here is to connect your domain name to this App Engine project. So to do that, you're going to head over here to Settings, hit Custom Domains, add a custom domain, and then you can just follow their directions. They'll instruct you on how to point your domain to your App Engine project. Basically, they'll give you some information that you'll put in your domains, like CNAME records or text records or something like that. And domain registration can take a couple of hours. So while you wait, head over to my project's Twitter page and give me a follow to stay up to date on what's happening there. All right, good luck.